sometimes people just like stuff, even if it's not that effective.
And then it was just you and me again.
Yeah, back at it. Our guests have disappeared.
These are the best conversations, though. These are me and you talking about the state of the industry.
Right.
What is important.
Right.
What's going on with people. What's going on with the gym. What's going on with the industry. Packaging it all up together so that we can deliver and communicate the best shit for our people.
That's right. Like, you ever see like a new series, like television series, and the pilot episode, they always have to explain like who the characters are, how they got here, how they're all interrelated. When you're interviewing someone, you kind of have to get through that stuff.
Have to.
Now people know who you and I are if they're watching this already. We can just get
if you're watching this isn't your first time that you've seen this.
You need no origin story.
Yeah.
We're just gonna get right to it.
So what's top of mind in your world? What are you thinking about these days?
Yeah, so I'm thinking a lot more about kind of what it is that we do. And we kind of have a long history of this now, right? We've been doing this, as the Fort for 6.5+ years. We've been doing this, another decade on top of that, and then professionally, and then personally, who knows how many more years. Mm-hmm. So I think we have like a really long road of like training, what we believe training is. And we're convicted. We're convicted on what it is that we think makes for good training, solid training, a really kind of good program, a good progression, a good environment, what people really need to succeed, which is wonderful.
We've seen a lot of truth.
Yeah.
We've, like, truthfully seen people, all types of ages, ranges, backgrounds. And we've seen what works, and we can kind of compile up all those experiences and everything that we've seen, that we like have a good understanding of how things go.
Yeah,
I think what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, from an experience perspective of how people, just interact with the gym and how they are in training and what the environment is like. And then from a results perspective, right? Has this worked?
That's where, like, in our guiding principles to do what works, take it seriously. The do what works part is really an amalgamation of like all the thousands of people that we've seen.
Right.
We've just seen what works. We've seen what doesn't, generally. Right. There may be exceptions there, but like pretty much like the bulk of the people that we've seen, the people that are satisfied and are happy with their progress, their results, their experience, these factors are in play. People that are not, or people that fall off, people that doesn't work for, these things are at play.
Right. And when you are convicted in that way, and you do have this kind of breadth of experience, like, you have some principles that you just believe to be true when it comes to training, things that you've seen that really work. And then, of course, then there's the flip side of things that you see that you just think are garbage, right? Or bullshit, or trying to deceive people. And the thing that I'm struggling with is how to rectify those two things when you have conversations with people who are doing things that maybe you don't necessarily think are in their best interest, or that they've been deceived or conned. And obviously we're not talking about anything specific here, or certainly not everything that's not us. There's plenty of other good things out there. But how do you address this? How do you approach it without coming across like a jackass, like just as like a hater of something, right? Where is the fine line of, I'm listening to you and I want to be receptive to what it is that you're doing, and even possibly I want to learn from it, but what you're telling me or what I've seen about this thing, given my experience, just makes it seem like it's horse shit. And how do you address that? What's the best way to have that conversation?
My thought in this is people are going to respect anything that you say if you truly understand them, or at least if they feel that you truly understand them and where they've been and where they want to go. So really the like being an asshole part is, you're an asshole if you didn't listen to anything about myself, didn't listen to anything about where I'm from, where I'm going, what matters to me, what I want to achieve. Because, for us, there's a big difference between what we're trying to do for people, which I think we're trying to help people find their most powerful self.
Right.
That's a big deal. That's a big jump. That means like everything could be great. You could be very normal, like generally happy person, generally have everything together, but still far off from your potential. we're trying to help people get from like that kind of mediocre average to their most powerful self. Now, if we form the company just to get people out of pain, like say we're a great way just to get people from -7 to 0, rather than from 0 to +7, we would set the gym up way different. We would talk totally different. We would be encouraging people to be doing things differently than we do now. And I think that's where you can do almost anything. You can drink nothing but celery juice and cut everything else out for a week. And if you're in a lot of pain and you're suffering, like that on its own is probably going to help you feel a lot better.
Right.
So getting from that place of pain to like 0, or that 0 to like 7 or +7, they're very different things. And I think for us, you really have to know that person and know where are they on that spectrum and where are they trying to get, where are they trying to go. If you hear them, you understand them, and then you actually want to help them, you can't be perceived as an asshole, because like you're with them,
right?
You get it, you understand the nuance and the details, and you're trying to help them.
Yeah, well, I think you bring up a good point, which is like the number one trait I would say you need to do this job, to be a trainer, to be a gym owner, to be involved in fitness and helping people, is empathy, right? You need empathy. You need an understanding of where people are coming from. Not everyone has been fortunate enough to be educated on what good training is. And, they're coming to it from that point of view, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to be understanding of that. And then, I think the other thing that you have to pay attention to is like, sometimes people just like stuff, even if it's not that effective. And if they're not getting the result that they want, well, then that's a conversation to have of like why the thing they're doing is not effective. But sometimes doing something just because you enjoy it is a good reason to do it.
Yeah. I think the thing you'd have to ask somebody initially is, are you satisfied?
Yeah.
Satisfaction really is everybody's goal.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like and maybe that doesn't mean that you've like arrived, but you're satisfied that what you are doing is getting you to the place that you want to be on a timeline that is appropriate or fair, that you could expect.
Yeah. Like I think I've told this story before, but I went to tour the YMCA with my wife and we walked by a Zumba class. And there were all these 50, 60-year-old women doing Zumba, which is like a kind of a dance cardio kind of thing. And I wouldn't say that that's like a real effective training modality. It's not the most efficient way to spend your hour if you're looking to get stronger and improve your body composition. But these women were in there having a ball. They were moving around. They were having social interactions, which they may not normally have. They looked like they were enjoying it. I thought it was like maybe one of the best fitness things I've ever seen.
So you're going to go up to those ladies and tell them what they're doing is bullshit?
No, of course, because it's not. I don't think that it is. I think that they're doing something wonderful.
So
it's appropriate for what it is that they wanted to get out of it.
What do you think is bullshit? Like, what does piss you off?
Yeah.
Like, what would trigger you?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of times. So it's I think the majority of bullshit comes from like individuals rather than systems or things that have had to kind of stand the test of time or, put themselves in a place of risk where they're very visible and they've built kind of big systems and corporations around it and are kind of required to justify what it is that they're doing by the public. Now, sometimes there are some modalities that sneak through there that are not great, but I think those get exposed pretty easily and go away. And even though it's not the way that I would choose to do it, like I think those places can probably justify why it is that they do what they do. I think where the kind of the more ends of the spectrum are as far as like kind of crazy, wild ideas that are just misleading for people are individuals who just get out there and just rant about stuff. And because they're charming or captivating or good looking or kind of understand metrics and things like that can really get a big audience, and they're misleading this big audience. And normally, like in the past, I would like kind of dismiss that as like, well, this is transparent that these people are just trying to be controversial or interesting. But I think those people are making more and more inroads. I think they are having more influence and people are listening to them. And, you know, they're a one-man show. They don't really have to justify themselves to, you know, a training staff and investors or whatever, you know, these kind of bigger fitness corporations do. And I think that's where it can become tricky, where someone tells me they saw someone tell you how their testosterone is dropping because they eat fruit, and, you know, and someone did a paid Instagram ad for that. Sense. And now you're like, well, now they think that's true, you know? And I think that's where we're kind of going to.
Well, dude, there's trainers, coaches that just dedicate all their time to calling out bullshit on these people.
Yeah.
And then I watch those and I'm like, I don't want to be that either.
No, 100%.
They've made, you know, these people their whole lives.
Yeah.
Rather than like just focusing on what's working for you or what's working in the world that you can see and in the spaces you can touch. You know, how do you, like, I think I've closed off my influence pretty tight. Mm-hmm. I have influence, but it's very curated. And anytime I do see bullshit, I just kind of cut it off.
Right. But you are savvy enough to know.
Yeah.
You know, I think a lot of people are not.
But I mean, from a trainer's perspective of like not even letting it affect me or affect me, like having the desire to go call bullshit on them or like spend time or energy on them in any way.
Yeah.
I just kind of like let it go. I do kind of believe in the ultimate effect of like the cream's going to rise to the top. The good information is going to get out there because it's going to be more defensible and it's going to be proven over time.
Right.
Focus on that.
For sure. And to me, there's nothing more cringy than the bad information is cringy, and then the guy who comes out and tries to debunk the bad information is nearly as cringy. Like it just never comes across as gracious or really trying to be informative or anything like that. It just feels like it's just internet arguing, and I kind of hate that.
I don't even want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I don't want to in. I mean, that's kind of where I like never got into Twitter. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot of arguing. Look, and I get debate is useful and important. It's great. Sometimes I'll listen to people debate to like try to find some good information out of it, but I don't really love the arguing. Like if it messes with my emotional state.
Right.
And I start thinking about it all day and it takes me over when I could be spending that energy towards something that's seemingly more constructive.
Right. Well, debate and argument are not exactly the same thing, right? Like you can have a discourse about why something's right or wrong or true or not, and have different viewpoints and argue them. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, arguments just tend to kind of just get down to the base level of, you know,
they just get
character
emotional.
assassinations,
and
emotionality,
personal, and right.
Yeah, for sure. And none of that is good. But I do think, you know, the thing I struggle with is I want people to have good information because I do really care about them doing well and succeeding and spending their time in the most efficient and effective way. And it's not like I am the stopgap and purveyor of all information that is correct. But I do probably dedicate myself, and we dedicate ourselves more to kind of understanding this than most people. And I do want to have intelligent and convincing conversations with people about what is in their best interest, you know, and delivering that information without coming across as a dick, but not also being like so overly politically correct and tiptoeing around the fact that maybe what they're doing or what they've heard, you know, is just not true or not the best use of their time.
I mean, one thing you can always kind of say is just, I've never seen that work.
Yeah.
I mean, because how do you really argue with it?
Yeah.
Or I've never heard of that working. I don't think there's any evidence that's demonstrated that that's worked. I mean, that might be getting too far, but you can definitely state your own experience, what you've seen. Mm-hmm. You know, we've seen a lot. I've never seen pear juice like transform someone's body.
Yeah. It's delicious though. And I don't have, you know, especially if somebody believes in something, right? Arguing with them or telling them it's dumb or whatever. I mean, that's not going to work. That just gets people defensive. You know, you're not going to get someone
love to argue too, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe we all love to argue if you let it happen. You know, there's part of us that like somehow likes the fight.
Yeah.
comes alive.
Yeah. But I would say that like understanding where the person is coming from, seeing what their experiences are, seeing what their expectations are. You know, maybe the thing they're doing is satisfying their expectations, even though it's not
What do you think?
kind of their best thing.
Let me ask you this. What do you think most people want right now as an effect?
Like as a result?
Yeah. How would you describe what it is that people are going for?
I mean, I can only say that based on the people that I speak to, and the people that I speak to are going to be unique because they probably have some exposure or understanding of what it is that we do. And it's going to be some piece of that. But I think in general, I think people are looking to stave off some of the negative effects of getting older and aging. They don't want to see their body break down. I just had a person I spoke to on the phone last week. I'm actually meeting with her tomorrow. She told me basically that much, that like she had, you know, heart disease in her family. She didn't want to suffer that same fate. I discussed the costs with her and everything. And, you know, and then at the end, I'm always like, listen, I don't want to waste anybody's time. Like I want to lay out how our memberships work, what our costs are, how it all goes down. Because so for some people, it's just not a reality, right? They just can't justify all that. They don't believe in the training philosophy. The schedule doesn't work for them. The money doesn't make sense, right? So she said, hey, listen, it's definitely more expensive than what I am used to paying. She's like, but it's way cheaper than having heart disease in 30 years.
Right.
And I was like, well, you get this. Like you understand like why investing in yourself in this way is a great idea. So I think there's a lot of people in that. Interestingly, I think people want to get stronger.
You think that's like a new thing, or do you think like
it's new from when I started? I think body composition was way more important to people when I started, and now actually getting stronger. Now we're also called Strength Club in our name, so maybe people like are attracted to us. But
it brings up a point that I do think that the public image, like general public image, has changed some from going for like a personal vanity to like a personal capability. Like it's shifted in that spectrum some. That the attractive qualities that you get from working out, what you can do, being more valuable maybe than how you look. And I think there's been, you know, effects of that in media in general.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a lot of pushback in the idea of like the perfect looking person, the perfect shaped person, and that these aren't real people and this isn't real. And maybe we should start like creating a perception of humanity that's real.
Yeah.
You know, and then, but where does that leave you? Like it leaves you to a place where you can celebrate who you are and you can increase your own personal capabilities, whatever those skills and talents might be.
Yeah, I definitely think it's in line with like just a lot of aspects of society now are heading in that direction. And I think maybe exercise and fitness and strength training is as well, which is great. I think that's like,
I think it's a way healthier,
way more wonderful way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, you see people like, I know myself, like being, you know, even in fitness modeling where like just the way you look is the only thing that matters. Like the magazines don't care how much weight you lift or what you can do a 7-minute row in. They care what you look like.
Right.
It was very mentally, no fun.
Yeah.
It was not a fun process because you're never, you're judged a lot from yourself and from others. And you're always kind of like seeing the negative in yourself. You're not often really celebrated. Like most of it is competition, sort of internally and externally.
Right. And we've spoken about this before. Anybody who goes after it for like really strong body composition reasons, and I'm not talking about like losing like a good amount of excess weight just to get you back into a healthy range or that you're more comfortable or confident, but I'm talking like real kind of extreme look. Most people get there and they do not feel satisfied.
Right.
Like there's not a lot of gratification there.
Doesn't really pay off much.
Yeah. as like if you hit your first 300-pound back squat or your first sub 7-minute 2K row, like that actually does feel pretty good. Like it
does.
If you've worked towards that and you make it, like, yes, it's fleeting and there's always another time and another weight that you aim for sure. But like, it's nice to see that kind of progress where
it's also very easily quantifiable. The looks thing.
Yeah.
You can't really put a number on it.
No. I think where the looks thing really does make a difference is, and I can say this because I think I've straddled both sides of the line, is there is a place where you will not feel great about yourself and it's hard to be confident and want to see yourself in the mirror and all that other stuff. And if you can kind of get to the other side of that line where you're like, oh, okay, I'm cool with myself. Like, I'm happy. Like, this isn't like embarrassing to me. Like, I feel okay about myself. And obviously that's going to be a moving target for everybody. I do think that that's a big difference. I do think that there's value in that for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be this extreme, like 6% body fat. Like, people think they're going to get there and it's going to be wonderful. And it is very rarely the truth.
I really just want to empower people with the idea that they could.
Yeah.
If they just feel like, okay, I'm at 12%, but I could be at 6 if I wanted to. I know how I do it.
Yeah.
And they like, I think just the knowing that I could do it is satisfaction.
Right. Well, that's a way of looking at body composition as capability.
You're sort of empowered,
right? Yeah.
Right? It's kind of blends the two.
Yeah. Because it's like, am I capable to get this result?
Yeah.
Not, if I get to this result, I will somehow be magically happy, because that just is not the case.
Yeah, knowing that it's probably not going to bring me any more happiness, which is why I'm not going to pursue it. But I could if it was meaningful to me enough, or if it really did matter, I could do it. I have it in me. I know what I would change and what I would do.
Yeah. So 2 more things. So we got the kind of the mitigation of age or the effects of disease.
Deterioration.
Yeah. We're trying to like stop that.
Stop the bleeding.
Yeah. We're trying to get stronger.
Because
we feel more accomplished, more confident, and we know that leads to a lot of positive health outcomes.
More capable.
Positive life experiences. I think that's true. I think people are looking for community.
Yeah.
I think people feel like training in this manner. So I think like group fitness kind of has group fitness and strength training tended to be mutually exclusive for a long time. And I think people are encouraged that they can actually do strength training in a group setting, have a community of people, have the hour in the gym feel like a time of camaraderie, and being kind of united and connected to other people. Mm-hmm. I think that's really a thing. It's surprising me how many people, it's one thing to be in the environment and realize it. It's another thing to seek it out before you've experienced it. And it surprises me how many people are kind of actively seeking that out, knowing that it exists.
Man, I really see it at big box gyms.
Yeah.
People working out and everybody's looking at each other.
Yeah.
Everybody's just thinking, man, I wish we could all be friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can see it. It's clear.
Yeah.
Everybody wishes they could kind of just be a little bit more chummy.
Yeah. Sure. Why
That's
not?
all.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's got a social aspect. Yeah. Every once in a while you see the guy with like kind of the hood pulled up who doesn't want to be bothered, but
sure.
Most people want like social interaction when they're doing their recreation or you know, their other things.
They want to feel good about their surroundings and their environment.
Yeah. And then the other thing I would say is this kind of catch-all of how does the gym impact my life outside the gym when it comes to accomplishments, when it comes to mental health, managing anxiety, things like that.
Money.
Yeah.
Like I think the better shape you are in, like the better you're going to be in your career.
Yeah.
Better, you're going to be more bold in your decision making, which could help you find better relationships, or better relationships or better jobs or better career paths.
Yeah. I mean, training has positive effects on your body chemistry. And I think that body chemistry leads to a lot of those kind of outcomes that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's one of the, we've talked about things before that like they're true, scientifically true, even though they can't necessarily be explained or not fully understood. Mm-hmm. I think for a lot of people, other aspects of their life that seem would be very indirectly related do tend to improve when they start engaging in more training and taking that seriously.
Yeah.
It's a component of your life that can really cross over to other things. And I think vice versa, like it's a little bit hard to have a very satisfactory life if you don't feel capable and comfortable in your own body.
Yeah. I think it goes back to the most powerful self thing.
Yeah.
When you're feeling your most powerful, it affects all of your decisions that you make.
Yeah. And
that's a big deal.
Yeah. And some people like very consciously don't put value on, body image or capabilities and would probably feel it a little bit less. But even I think those people on some subconscious level would. But, physical capability has always been like something that's important to me since, playing sports in high school or even before that, like, getting together with buddies in the junior high weight room and trying to, be the guy who could bench press 200 pounds or whatever. Like that's always just like that physical capability has always been in my mind at some level or another. So I always find that if I'm not really actively training, if I'm not feeling accomplished, like I'm not putting the reps in, like it's very hard for me to just feel like my outside life is satisfactory.
Yeah. So how do you think this, we're starting a new training phase today and really the beginning of a new like 16-week like block.
Yeah.
We're kind of starting in the positions and technique. Then we'll hit like, power and strength. Then we'll hit volume accumulation, skill and performance. But we're kind of at the beginning with a technique positions phase.
Yeah.
How does this fit into where, what we just spoke about, people's capabilities and finding their most powerful selves and what they're looking for in training? How does this training phase that we're starting today fit into that?
Yeah. So I think in two really very specific ways, which is we're working with like positioning, some like pauses or other things that really drive like having good positions where you kind of can't, when you're doing something like the gauntlet, which we just came off of, and you're just working hard for 40 minutes, like there's going to be a tendency to short reps,
of course,
and not go full range of motion. It is human nature, especially when you're doing a lot of repetitions and you're doing something like strength endurance, kind of aerobic based training. This phase, just by its very nature, how we have it structured, the rep ranges, things like that, it really kind of takes that away. All eyes are on you. The reps ranges are very low. You get to touch some heavier weights, which I also think is like very beneficial.
Yeah.
So you're going to work on like kind of seeing like, all right, you're not going to be able to get away with too much bullshit. Like, it's low reps. We're going to watch you. You're going to sit down at the bottom of the squat. Can you really sit down there? Can you make it happen?
Yeah.
And at what weights can you move? So I think both those things are like, what am I really capable of here from like being able to move my body, and what am I capable of here? Like how much force can I exhibit on an external load? And I think both those things are like, it doesn't feel as kind of as directly tied to capability as like when you're out of breath and you're trying to finish a thing for time and you're like repping it out. And, people love that because the clock ends or their final rep is done and they feel like they've accomplished a lot. But I think here it's just like, you're going to really see like how capable are you at moving as a human being and how strong are you in those movement patterns. And I think there's unbelievable value in that.
It feels good to know that you look good working out. Mm-hmm. Like that other people see you in the gym, they're like, wow, that person knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Just by watching you move, not the weight that you're using or how like close to the edge of death you are, but rather like that person squats really well. Yeah. Look at like how they hold that position. There's a ton of value of feeling like I'm doing this the right way.
Yeah.
And spending a month or 4 weeks focused on like, I'm going to get better at the way I look working out.
Right. And that's a reason people come to us.
That's
like,
real, man.
A lot of people come to us like, I want to do these things well.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to know what moving well is. I want to know like how to make the squat look good, the deadlift look good, how to row properly.
Yeah.
This is the month to do that. This is a month to really put your focus and attention into like what you look like executing these exercises and these workouts.
Right. Our members have heard me rant before specific movements or specific exercises where I will say, like, I want people from other gyms to come down here in the middle of the workout, see you guys, and be like, oh, these guys know what they're doing.
That's it, man.
Yeah.
This is a month. Let's make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's a good place to wrap it up. We are Fortitude Strength Club, aka the Fort, where we take training seriously
And we do what works.
Till next time, I'm Kyle.
I'm Dan.
And
See ya.
here's the next one.
Yeah.
Bye.